I started working as a community activist.
Right.
Okay.
I started working as a community activist when I was in the fourth grade. I wanted to run for student body president, and they told me you can't. You have to be a sixth grader. And you got to keep in mind, my parents were from there. They were from Birmingham. Let me do that over again.
Okay.
Okay.
When did you start working as a community activist?
I actually started in the fourth grade as a community activist. I wanted to run for student body president, but you got to keep in mind, my parents were from Birmingham, Alabama, so we grew up watching the civil rights issues going on in the South, and we would watch TV and Walter Cronkite every night. So we were those kids that knew what the latest was. And my mom and dad made sure that we kept up on all the current issues, particularly we had relatives down in the South still. So I decided I wanted to run for student body president. I was told, no, you can't do that. You have to be a sixth grader. And that started the big thing with me, don't tell me no. And so I decided to run anyway. And I talked to one of my relatives, and he told me, you don't have to go by that particular rule because it's not in writing. Go ask the principal if it's in writing. And I did. And she said, no, it's not. And she just got fed up with it and said, go ahead, Acquanetta. But nobody ever asked me why. Well, let me tell you why. Every day at recess, the sixth graders would go before the fourth graders for recess, and they would lick the brown sugar off the coffee cake. You remember the famous Los Angeles Unified School District coffee cake? So I organized the students under the sixth grade to stand up for themselves. And I promised if I won, they would no longer be able to lick the brown sugar off of the coffee cake. So we had a little campaign. We followed Dr. King and we followed John F. Kennedy, and all these people that were running had little signs. And I won. I know I won because the principal came and talked to my parents later and said, it's kind of a crazy thing going here. We have a sixth grader that's very upset. Acquanetta has 2 years. So my mom and dad, they were so wonderful and so precious. They told me to go talk to the principal and tell her why I wanted to run. And she was just great, Miss Carruthers. I explained that to her, and she said, Acquanetta, you didn't have to start all this. All you had to do is come talk to me. And that's when I learned how important it was to communicate. And once I learned that, I was off and running. And by the way, they weren't allowed to do that anymore. We were allowed to have our recess first. And the first thing we wanted to do was lick all the brown sugar off the coffee cake. But we decided that wasn't the right thing to do. And that's how I got my start.
Next question is, who was your first mentor in politics and community engagement?
My first mentor in politics and community engagement was my parents. They believed strongly in leadership, and they taught all of us how important it was. But I tell you, it took off for me when Mayor Tom Bradley ran for mayor. I was so excited. I was in high school. Every Saturday and Sunday, I went up on Crenshaw Boulevard at his headquarters, and they would just give me piles to fold up, and I would be so happy. I had gone and become the first African American, along with 6 others, that had actually been bused to integrate Los Angeles Unified School District. So I was student body president of my junior high school, down in Dana Junior High School in San Pedro, where I was bused for 3 years. But when it came to high school, I wanted to come back to my hood, which was over on 108th and San Pedro, the mighty Locke High School. I'm a saint, and I'm proud of that. And I was the first female student body president at Locke High School. So when he ran for mayor, I got into this first thing. And when he won, nobody was more happy than I. I followed everything he did, and I tried to bring it to the high school. And he actually came to the high school and swore me in. So you couldn't know. Later, I had the opportunity of being on his Mayor's Youth Advisory Board, but before that, there was a lady, and she's still here and still working. That is Olivia Mitchell, the city of LA. Hopefully she's here tonight at the Black Rose Convention with me to celebrate this because it's a big deal for me. And all my big deals, Olivia has been present. That lady showed all we students how important it was to be civically involved. We participated in all these events, and we broke barriers. working with the community and the sheriff's department. I am part of that group that came out the Watts riot and then later the Rodney King riot. So I know the importance of communication, and I know the importance of having real leadership skills.
Next one is, who do you work hard, I think he means why. Why do you work so hard to improve Fontana and the IE for people?
I grew up in South Central, well, we can't call it South Central anymore. We have to call it South LA. But that's where I grew up at. I saw what happens when people don't have options. I saw what happens when leaders don't put the people's quality of life first. And it always bothered me. And then when I was married, I lived in Compton, and it was not the place that I wanted to raise my kids. I'll just be honest about it. But we still worked hard. I was still involved, but something dearly was missing. So I decided when we moved to Fontana, I was so happy. I had my dream house. My family was happy. My kids could go outside without drive-by shootings, all the things that were going on in those areas. But the first thing I found out is that they were about to raise our landscape maintenance district fees. And that activated the leadership in me. And that's when I started getting more involved civically in Fontana. And I work hard because I don't want our town to go down. I want us to work all together. We are celebrating the diversity in our community. I embrace that diversity. And I know we can be that model for the nation. And I got to tell you, we are well on our way. I just got back from the United States Conference of Mayors. I like when I walk down the hallway and people point and say, she's from Fontana, California, because we're the model of how to do it right.
Last question is, name your greatest accomplishment.
Wow, that is, I've had a lot of accomplishments. I think my biggest accomplishment is my family. I'm so proud of my 3 children, and I'm even more prouder of the options and choices they've made for their life. In every way, each of them is helping the community, and I love that about them. The other part I'm very proud of is being the first female African-American mayor for this great city. I love Fontana. Fontana has given me a real feel for what a hometown is all about. I love going back to LA. I love LA as my hometown. But there's something about when I cross that 15 freeway and come down Baseline that my face starts to glow. Because I'm with the people that I love most, and that is my neighbors, my community, and my family. But I gotta tell you, there's nothing better for me than living in the state of California. I love the state of California. So in a lot of ways, the accomplishments I've done in this city, in this state, and some of the national things I've been involved in, it all leads me to understand that I'm doing something I should be doing because I'm enjoying it, because I love it. And my biggest goal is just to improve the quality of life for everyone, from the children's education to the homeless, to the workers that are taking advantage of the opportunities we put forth in developing jobs. All of these things come together, all the way down to the street sweeping. Everything we do is good. So I'm happy, and that's what I think is important when you have the job I have.
I missed one more question. What's your advice to the next generation?
My advice to the next generation is to love yourself. When you love yourself and what you can offer, people will accept you. They will work with you. They will communicate with you. They will let you lead them. But we need you to stay home and work with us. We don't want you all leaving our town, our region, or our state. We want you to stay here and make California better. We want you to stay here and make our city better. You're our future. Act like it. Take a hold of it. Embrace it. Make it what it could be, because you're going to do a much better job than the rest of us did, because we're doing everything in our power to give you the tools to make us all proud. Do I get a chance to say I'd like to thank the Black Rose Foundation?
He didn't put it in here, but I think you should.
Okay. Before I end this interview, I just really want to thank Carl Dameron and his team, and particularly the Black History Cultural Foundation. And this award means so much to me. I have gone through the years and seen the Black Rose being given to people, great, great people. You can't know how honored I am to get this Black Rose, because to be identified with this entire award tells me that I'm on a good pathway, because it's not over. I've got much more to give, and I'm looking forward to giving it back to this great community.
Perfect. So you're going to the